Hello, you're watching another episode of In Person with me, Lakshmi Baker, and today we're here to commemorate two recipients of the Merdeka Award Grant for international attachment, which is a part of the Merdeka Awards, being rewarded to these two people standing on my left and on my right, Dr. Abhi and Dr. Natrah. They both received this award and they are less than 35 years old. Now that's why this award is special, because it commemorates younger people. Now stay tuned and we'll find out more about these two inspiring young people. As promised, the first Merdeka Award Grant for international attachment, we're going to be talking to Dr. Abhimanyu Veerakumarasivam. Wow, a mouthful. Now, this gentleman is 34 years old, and at 34, he's achieved what many people would probably take a whole lifetime to achieve. You know, there were 60 applications, I heard, and from that, it was shortlisted to 5. And I heard all these 60 applications were really strong ones. And from 5, 2 people were selected, and you're one of them. How do you feel?
You know, somewhat humble. I think when you actually look at the award itself and what the expectation is, and you know the opportunities that's actually given, I think, like I said, I don't actually see the Merdeka Award as sort of an award of what I've actually achieved, but more what are the things that I need to achieve in my pursuit of service and research and education in Malaysia.
Right.
But yeah, there's obviously some pride. And
did you think you stood a very good chance to win? Let's put humility aside for a while, shall we?
Okay, so I mean that's a difficult question, right?
Okay.
I mean, so I think you, as a scientist, and sort of continuously publish and whatever there is a natural tendency to benchmark, but the thing is that because of the nature of the award, that's actually open to everyone. That I think
all areas, like models could win it.
Exactly. So
dancers could win it.
Exactly.
People from all areas of education.
Yeah. And so how do you compare?
Right.
And so no, I can't really say that I was confident, but I think to a certain extent I did feel like I stood a good chance.
Right. And you were supposed to inculcate the spirit of Merdeka in your respective projects. Now, how on earth do you inculcate the spirit of Merdeka in oncology, or rather oncology and other areas that you actually delved in?
Okay, so part of the in the application, and also in my whole mission, I'm actually very interested in not just the research that I actually work on in cancer, but I actually have a tripartite mission, which is pretty much intercalated, where it actually involves education. And so I'm involved in training of future medical doctors, as well as PhD and master students. So I'm very interested in sort of working on improving our biomedical education landscape. And as we spoke before, I mean the importance of really preparing our future scientists to answer the real challenges out there. And then on top of that, I have this separate interest in inculcating sort of science and interest in science in kids. And so
you've got the mentoring side.
Exactly, but even at school, because I think a lot of things has to be sort of really formatted at that age, because once they come to universities, there's only a limited amount of molding that one can actually do. And so I actually work with students there, and then make them interested in science, the rich history of science. I mean, and like I always say, it's my one-sided battle against Kim Kardashian, where enough of this talentless talent and reality TVs. I mean, it's about time, we hear more important things being discussed in work.
Yeah, Dr. Abhi, you returned as a senior lecturer to University Putra Malaysia and seconded to the Perdana University Graduate School of Medicine, Ikhsan, in collaboration with John Hopkins University School of Medicine.
That's
wow, a lot of big international names here. Now, you must be really good for them to second you, because usually when you decide to go private, the funding ends. How do you feel about this? Did you request for it, or did it happen automatically?
So I actually didn't even initially intend to even go to the private university, but obviously Johns Hopkins School of Medicine was actually providing this amazing model, and they obviously have this rich history of graduate medical programs. And so it's just through discussions with a few people at UPM when I actually got this offer that they actually said that there was this opportunity. I mean, I always say that University Putra Malaysia is my spiritual academic home, and even till today, although I'm not obliged to be involved in teaching, throughout my secondment. I still do lectures, and also, my graduate, PhD, and master students are still within the Genetic Medicine Research Center at UPM. And so
Wow.
I'm pretty much actively, balancing within, two jobs. Yeah.
That's amazing. Let's talk about your tripartite mission. I just love the way you worded that word.
Yeah.
Educator, geneticist, and science advocate. Let's take educator first.
Yeah.
How do you intend to contribute hereafter
Yeah.
as an educator?
Okay, so again, I guess I'm lucky that I'm relatively young. So I feel like, and I think, sort of a transformation process takes a lot of time. A lot of factors needs to be corrected. And so I hope to be able to, through the attachment, sort of visit, a couple of institutions and sort of understand their medical education as well as their graduate sort of scientific training, models, so that, we can try and see how we can actually improve it here in Malaysia. And I think, the most important thing is actually building passion in whatever you do. I think, as a scientist, I don't think that everyone should be a scientist. I think education should just be, trying to realize or maximize human potential. And so, first trying to just encourage individuals to, first of all, rather than look at opportunities, sort of identify the passion within yourself, and then try and see how you can actually maximize that passion.
Amazing. As a geneticist,
Yeah.
did you study this area, or it's something that branches from oncology, or how does this
Yeah,
happen?
so in fact, oncology, sort of branches off genetics.
Okay.
So, the things that my core specific interest is in genetics, and cancer genetics is, the area where I specialize in. And my focal sort of interest and disease model is in bladder cancer.
Bladder cancer. How did you end up choosing that? I always ask doctors
Yeah.
this. How do you subspecialize until you choose such a specific area?
Sure. Yeah.
How did you choose bladder cancer?
In the case of bladder cancers, I think, through my training at Cambridge, I think it was, the opportunity at that time. I kind of knew that, there were specific areas of cancer biology that I actually wanted to understand. And, there was the collaborators who were urologists, and my main supervisor, Professor David Neal, and John Kelly, who, really inspired me and, made me realize that there were so many clinical questions, out there in bladder cancer management that people are still suffering from.
Is it because it's still relatively under-researched?
Yeah, so relatively compared to many of the other cancers, it's definitely under-researched. But I think just the whole nature, I think even when I'm studying bladder cancer, what you learn from bladder cancer can actually be extrapolated to other cells as well. Ultimately the epithelial cells, it's the same 30,000 genes, it's just the way the orchestra has completely gone wrong. So, I'm just using the disease as a model, but hopefully what you find can actually be translated to, any disease.
What is the one thing, if you were to translate into a layperson's term?
Yeah.
Whenever we talk about cancer, people they freak out, right?
Sure, sure.
So is there anything that you can share with us at this point about your research in bladder cancer? Something that's not widely reported yet. If there's a message, any symptoms that's showing more signs of appearing more signs or more symptoms of bladder cancer that's happening now that you'd like to share?
Well, I don't think the symptoms have actually changed in the last, few decades or even a century. I think it's blood in the urine, pain, the urge for urination. A lot of it's very unspecific.
And that sounds a lot urinary tract infection. A lot of people get
exactly,
that as
so
well.
that's why I
Is
was
it
going to say it's
related?
unspecific.
Okay.
No, I think there is this talk that, especially in gastric cancers and in cervical cancer, as well as the nasopharyngeal cancer, there is a sort of a microorganism etiology. But I think the one misconception in cancer is that the fact that cancer is 100% genetic disease and 100% environment. But the difference is these genetic disorders can either be acquired during your life or actually inherited. And usually inherited cancer is only 5%.
I'm going to stop you there because we need to run for a quick commercial break. We're going to continue talking a little bit more about bladder cancer right after this break. Hi, when I left you just now, we were talking about bladder cancer. Now, Dr. Abhi, how common is bladder cancer in the list of cancers that are prevalent in Malaysia right now?
Sure. Amongst males, it's in the top 10, but because we don't actually have a bladder cancer registry, so it is markedly underreported. But basically worldwide, 400,000 new cases of bladder cancers are diagnosed every year. But what's most pertinent is that the problem with bladder cancer is that more than 50% of them usually later on develop into very aggressive disease, especially when it's aggressive disease. They don't actually have that many sort of treatment modalities that can offer them more than 5 years survivals.
Right. Okay, and talking about being a geneticist, and that's the area that you've chosen as well, amongst others, dissecting the Asian Caucasian genetic variations. Now, is this in relation to ethnic variations? Because I've always wondered why my eyes are so light and no one in my family has it. Or is it specific to, genetic study as far as diseases are concerned?
Yeah, so I think especially in Malaysia, where we're really, sort of obsessed with sort of, racial definition, the fact is that, you'll find that, if you actually profile, each individual race, I don't think you can actually come up with, a single genetic profile that is going to be typical Indian or Chinese or Malay. The fact is that, we have a product of millions of, civilizations.
So that means I might have Caucasian genes in me.
Absolutely. I think every one of us, I think, there's always been that cross-fertilization. If we were to believe the sort of, out of Africa hypothesis, we all are descendants of, Africans.
Right. The third role in your tripartite mission is being a science advocate. Now, you've been talking a lot about mentoring scientists to be or upcoming scientists. A person who is good at mentoring and you're well qualified for that definitely has a mentor. Tell me who your mentor was.
So I've actually really been very lucky. So I think I've had a couple of mentors in my different stages. I think the person I would actually really sort of identify as a mentor is Professor Dr. Rosita Rosley, who is the professor in cancer at the Magna Cancer Research Lab in UPM. She was my undergraduate supervisor, and then later on she selected me for tutorship, and I think her way of mentoring, which is to provide opportunity and also continuously sort of encourage an individual to try his best, and I think giving that space, that's what I learned from her. At Cambridge, obviously, Professor John Kelly was amazing. He really really maintained the need for drive, need for an ambition, need to actually work very hard. And then these days, I work under Professor Charlie Wiener at the Perdana University Graduate School of Medicine. And
amazing. You've got some wonderful people to back you and to continue mentoring you while you mentor these new people. Through the Malaysian Urological Association, you've established a campaign to raise public awareness on urogenital cancers. What is urogenital cancers?
So urogenital cancers actually, includes prostates, kidneys, bladders, in general. So
that entire
all area. The whole urinogenital system.
So it can surpass the bladder, it can go into the prostate area and all these other things.
And also I just want to mention that we're still working towards developing these awareness campaigns, and because the whole idea is that all the things that I've mentioned that I want to do, I can't do this alone. I need a whole support group, and Prof. Azad at UM, he's been really helpful in supporting this initiative.
Wow, you're so knowledgeable. Now on that note, I have a very serious question.
Sure.
For the benefit of swooning eligible bachelorettes out there, are you married?
Yes, I am.
You are?
Very happily married.
Gosh, how many kids do you have?
No, I don't have any yet.
Okay, when did you get married?
2 years ago.
2 years ago, okay. I'm asking a lot of questions, but unfortunately I'm married as well, so
okay.
I can't do that. Thank you so much for this opportunity. We'll get you back in a moment. We're going to come back with Dr. Natrah Fatin Muhammad Ikhsan. She's 33 years old. Oh, I hope it's okay that I mentioned her name. We're going to find out more about her contribution in the area that she has chosen. She has a PhD in Applied Biological Sciences in the area of aquaculture from the Faculty of Bioscience Engineering at the University of Ghent, Belgium. And currently, she's a senior lecturer at the Department of Aquaculture at University Putra, Malaysia. Thank you so much for the opportunity for me to actually talk to you and interview. It's been a pleasure. Now, for those of us, because for the benefit of lay people out there, what does aquaculture encompass? The area of aquaculture, what does it cover?
Okay, actually aquaculture is a field where it's the culture of different aquatic organisms. Okay, it can be fish, mollusks, crustacean, and it can also be aquatic plants like seaweed, and in a controlled and semi-controlled condition.
Okay, so the purposes of studying these, it can be aquatic creatures.
Yes.
So it can be animals and flora and anything that's under the ocean or under the water surface.
The differences between aquaculture and fisheries is that we are doing it in a controlled condition.
Okay, for the purposes of discovering or researching?
For food, and also can be for other chemicals and other products, bioproducts, but mostly for food.
That's been emitted into the ecological system of the water, is it?
Yes, yes.
Okay, this is such a specific area, Dr. Natrah. What made you choose this area? Some people, they have a dream when they are young, and then they sort of like have no choice and get specified into an area because of circumstances. Was this something you chose or something that you were led into eventually?
Actually, my real field is microbial ecology. So I utilize microbes for the use of aquaculture.
Okay.
So in order to have enhanced production of aquaculture, and then also in order to provide an optimal condition. So my passion is actually in microbes and using microbes, small creatures, such as bacteria, microalgae and other things.
Do you love working with bacteria?
Yeah, a lot. It
sounds like they're
really
your
my
colleagues.
passion.
You really love.
Yes,
you don't feel like macam like people say gully or like.
Not at all. And currently I'm working. What is interesting is it's about communication between bacteria. Bacteria talks.
They do?
Yes.
Can you please explain how bacteria talk, how they communicate?
So they basically release signal molecule. So they're using chemical language, unlike us.
Right. Can you explain a bit more details? How does chemical communication take place? Like, what kind of bacteria did you for example, you recently looked at under a microscope? What would it be?
Okay, my research is now focused on pathogen, the harmful bacteria which cause diseases in aquaculture.
Okay.
And we noticed that these pathogen, they are really communicating between each other. So I'm really trying to understand, how they communicate, what kind of signal molecule that they release, and how can we solve this problem.
That sounds really, really interesting. Now, you going into the specializing in microbial ecology, right? This whole area is called microbial ecology.
Yes.
Does that mean that you're an avid scuba diver as well, or it just goes down to the micro level and not the macro? I would think you love to be underwater and be scuba diving underwater.
I don't even know how to swim.
You don't? No, it's amazing, isn't it? Your area is aquaculture, but...
Yeah, I'm always in the lab, looking for new discoveries.
Is it something that you want to pursue, scuba diving?
Of course.
You do?
I have to first learn to swim.
Okay, right. I have to learn how to swim as well, believe it or not. Okay, we've got to run for a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we want to know about more of the technicalities in the area that Dr. Natrah has been studying, and what are her future plans after receiving this grant. Right after this break. Welcome back, and I'm still talking to Dr. Natrah. I've got a few pressing questions myself, but before that, let's get to a bit of business. You were involved in the international projects with the Japan Society for the Promotion of Science, JSPS, collaborating with the different scientists. So you've worked with Japanese scientists, right?
Yes.
Is it very different from working with local scientists, and what are your experiences from working with them?
Yeah, for the Japanese scientists, they always come here.
Okay, so you didn't have to go to Japan for that?
No.
Okay.
We went sampling together, and what I noticed is that, in a way, they are very focused in their work. Whenever they want to something, they will finish it on that day itself.
Is in your entire span of studying in university, getting your PhD, involved in so many research courses in microbial studies, has there been any really bad moments, Dr. Natrah, that you want to share, like frustrating moments?
Not really. Everything is interesting for me because I'm really passionate in my field. I love what I'm doing. I really enjoy it. Only I have problem with getting, good students who are really as passionate as me.
Right.
That is my main problem now.
So then, why do you think this problem is as such? The students that you have, why do you think they've chosen the field if they're not passionate? As passionate as you were in doing it, why are they there then, you think?
For the student I have now, they are very passionate. It's just that getting new students, it's really hard. I really have to screen them. Why? That is why I'm here, where I somehow can inspire them to show that it's really interesting to work in science, to work with microbes.
How do you think, what are the tools you think in such a specific area like this to encourage students to actually to make them interested in the subject matter, because it is a very specific area? How do you think you can encourage students? And this generally goes out to a lot of teachers these days in universities, because when you subspecialize, in your studies, it tends to get a bit dull. It tends to get a little bit, boring for them. How do you make it interesting?
That is why during my class, I always teach them what I'm doing. I mean, what I'm researching on. And every new finding that I have, okay, I will share it with the class. And I also, try to involve them as much as possible in the lab activities, in the field trip, everything that I can involve them, I will try to involve them.
The field trips, right? More practical involvement so that they can actually
yeah.
apply the subject matter in the practical field out there. Now, talking about the practical field out there, actually, you want to, all this knowledge, this expertise and these ideas, you say, I read, can benefit small-scale farmers, inspiring a shift towards eco-friendly farms. How do you create eco-friendly farms? What is the problem today that we need to focus on creating these eco-friendly farms?
Okay, in agriculture and also aquaculture, it's important to have, something that is sustainable, something that other generation can use, for a long time. Okay, and how do I create? That is what I try to select, the best microbes, the microbes that really can contribute to this optimal environmental condition for the aquaculture system.
When you say, that means you're talking about like good bacteria, that can coexist with the aquatic animals, how does it help in the system of the animals itself? You introduce like what, a bacteria into the water, so to speak, is it?
It's just like probiotic.
Right, yeah, we take probiotics.
Yes, it's just like that, where, because we have also probiotic for aquaculture, but we give them in feed form, in a feed form. And other than that, we also have other technology where we call it as biofloc. Okay, this is actually a microbial floc where it can do a lot of things. Okay, it can be as a feed, and at the same time, it can also somehow, clean the water.
Okay, and all these things that we introduce into the water system, is it okay for humans to consume later? Is it human friendly? Because you're introducing these extra ingredients into the water, which is then consumed by the fish and then by humans. It's all been tried and tested?
Yeah, of course, we have tried everything. We have to really, that is why we have to really select, really select the bacteria that we are using.
You are also currently a treasurer of the Malaysian Fisheries Society. That means you have to work very closely with fishermen and people who actually have these farms. I always used to wonder, right? Yeah, you have aquatic animals, ones that we consume, seafood, so to speak, in a controlled environment. Is it healthy for humans to consume fish or shrimp or squid from a controlled environment as opposed to, say, out in the sea or from its natural sources? Because when it comes to poultry, we have this thing called free range. But is it a different effect on aquatic creatures if you're going to be consuming them from eco-friendly farms? Which do you think is better for humans? Does this free range theory apply even to aquatic farms?
For me, I think it's better to have it. That is why it's important to have aquaculture. Everything is in a controlled condition, the environment is clean.
Okay, hi, for those of you who just tuned in, you're watching In Person with me, Lakshmi Baker. I brought Dr. Abhi back. We're still with Dr. Natrah. And it's time to play some games. These people are really serious. They study a lot. They've got PhD degrees. Now I want to bring out the Mickey in them, okay? I've got a list. I call this my Pandora list, not box lah, okay? It's got a list of 1 to 33 questions. You have to pick a number and I'll ask you what question it is.
Okay, all right. I'll pick number 5.
Number 5, the question is, who is your hero? Allah, not a very tricky Mickey question. Who is your hero? It could be a parent, a celebrity, an influential person in one's life. Who is it?
My hero would be my husband. He supported me
very
well, yeah.
Oh, if he's watching and give a wave there, sayang. Thank you so much for your support.
Yeah, he was there during my PhD study until the end, and he's still there.
Okay, great. I can truly understand and relate to that. Okay, I've got a question for Dr. Abhi now. Pick a number from 1 to 33 and I'll ask you a question.
Number 1.
Did you see the question?
No.
Okay, fine. If you could have...
Do you want me to feign my surprise now?
Okay, if you could have an endless supply of any food, I like the question, what would you get?
Serum for my cancer cells.
Oh my gosh, is that really food?
It's of course it's food for the cells.
See, that's why when you ask PhD holders a question, right, they just change it and make it their own. serum for your cancer cells. Why?
So I can actually do unlimited amount of research, and we'll always be able to find something.
See, I can't argue with you because you say that's food. I was hoping you would say panini or burgers or pizza or something. Fine, I'll let you off the hook this time.
Sure.
Thank you so much for joining me in this episode of honouring grant recipients of the Merdeka Award.
Thank you very much.
I've really learned a lot from you, and I hope that both of you will continue to inspire more young Malaysians out there to want to achieve something significant in their chosen area. And I'm sure you've inspired all of them, and many are going to want to follow your footsteps hereafter. Thank you, Dr. Abhi, again.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Fatin. Thank you so much. See you in another episode of In Person next week, where we will be interviewing another stirring, stimulating, sensational personality like them. Bye for now.